Roger leaned back on the couch in Cleo's living room with a sense of familiarity. She was in the kitchen mixing some drinks. As he allowed himself to relax a bit, he started thinking about his situation. His mind was racing so fast it was difficult to keep focus anywhere for very long. The false presence still lingered on the coattails of his awareness, for he was wary to let it fade fully into the background, lest it grew and re-enveloped him without his knowing. Cleo came into the room with a drink in each hand, placed them both on the coffee table, and took a seat in the chair across from the couch. "That's a pretty damn crazy situation you got yourself into," she said before taking a sip from her glass. She continued, "My question is, why did you send this bomb in the first place?" Roger scratched his head, hoping to dig an answer out of his skull that made any damn sense at all. Well, he's actually a sort of linchpin for the false presence. "What the hell does that mean?" "He tracks me, Cleo. He takes notice of the things I read, hear, do, say, and he sort of feeds them into this database that meanders into a feedback looping, reality warping machine that tunnels back through the very devices I utilize to see and hear from, to seed the false presence into my mind." "Uh-huh," Cleo nodded, letting out a sigh and taking another big gulp. "And what proof do you have of this?" "Well, for one, the phone. It was trying to control me by making certain suggestions. It's connected to the system. It tries to gain your trust by seeming reliable. Then it tries to coerce you to submit to being enveloped by the false presence. Most do so without ever knowing anything had happened. I had broken its hold before through realization, but from what I witnessed last night, it had me in its grasp again." "Okay. And what exactly is the detrimental effect of submitting to this false presence? Like, what is it doing? Is it just some veil?" "It's more than just a simple veil. It's a fully simulated, abstract environment within what is already a simulation. Reality is already a simulation, but one designed to promote a temporary existence of both individuality and multiplicity, a thriving and constrained nexus of relationships meant to be taken as it is for its duration. The false presence utilizes a loophole in the system initiated by the ability to create a dichotomy between language and its meaning. It uses one to suppose the other, and they cascade within the mind to build an entirely new and different world around someone that, instead of being perfectly purposeless as intended, serves the purpose of its own illusion to maintain its sense of reality." Cleo was having a hard time taking all of this in, as Roger's words were bearing a structure of meaning that was so nearing the totality of her own structure of self-existence that perfect alignment of the two would cause a sort of merging dissolution of herself. Still, though, she inquired further. "So, why does the cop become such a big player in this? Isn't he enveloped by the false presence as well?" "The policeman is bound within a self-perceived narrative that serves the agenda of the demiurge, which is to maintain its own sense of reality. Yes, the policeman does his job because he thinks it to be the right and natural thing to do, and that job is to collect and categorize all of the data of everything that I do and feed it into the machine. He is convinced that I am breaking some crime by realizing and breaking free of the false presence, but outside of his authority, granted to him by the false presence and therefore being nullified, there is no dictation writ large into the fabric of reality as to how your mind is allowed to function. With him out of the way, I can live freely without my data being fed into the machine. And without the data being fed into the machine, no method exists for the false presence to reintegrate around my mind via narrative." Cleo considered what Roger was saying for a moment. "Have you been watching the news recently?" she asked. "Not at all," Roger replied. "The news is usually just another output point for the machine. so I tried not to bother with it. Well, not on TV or social media, but some independent vlog journalists around the local area have been documenting something that might pertain to your situation. She picked up a remote off the table and clicked a button. The screen on the wall lit up to reveal a shaky video clip of the policeman rampaging through the streets of the cognitive district. Roger stared at the screen in horror, implications running through his mind to near overwhelming capacities. The reports are saying this thing broke out of a hospital earlier today and is growing. It's fused with some kind of strange technology that may be making it immune to attack in some way. Technology or black magic, it's hard to tell the difference sometimes. He's being followed by some nut job in a hooded robe as well. Does this mean anything to you? Roger tried to think about it. That certainly was what used to be the policeman. This means my bomb didn't kill him at all. And wait a second. He looked closer and noticed that a cell phone was attached to the policeman's head, encased in a sort of dome. Is that my phone? It can't be. I broke it. You also thought you broke the cop. Cleo chimed in. Holy shit, that's true. My attempts to kill the policeman and sever the connection between my data and the machine have resulted in this. The policeman has become the machine, or is at least serving what was once the machine's purpose. Having no access to immediate sense data, it is simply parsing through the entire district, everything that I know and hold dear, my town and its people, and transforming it into some gross and simplified copy of itself. It's nesting some sort of breeding ground, and that nut job is helping him do it. Roger turned to Cleo, a look of alarm apparent. Cleo, this is not the end. The policeman isn't doing this for its own sake. This must be the foundation for some perceived higher function. But no doubt he is still enslaved to the narrative given him by the false presence. But the question is, what is this purpose? What is the plan? And how does the false presence plan on utilizing this homogenized substrate to reinstate its authority in my mind? What can I do to stop this madness? Geez, Roger, I have no damn clue. Honestly, though, I'm kind of afraid of this whole situation. I know we're close friends, but I don't want to turn into whatever those things on the street are. You won't, Cleo, I can promise you that. I'm about to head right out there and meet that son of a bitch and finish what I started. Are you sure you can handle this type of thing, Roger? That monster is huge as fuck. He's swallowing people left and right with ease, and nobody seems able to stop him. That's because nobody is trying to. Look, no police or military are combating this thing. The civilians are too frightened or too entranced to do anything. He seems uncontestable because he is yet to be contested. The authorities are all on the side of the demiurge and the false presence. So you may have a run-in with the military and police just to get with this thing. I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to need some supplies and arms just in case. You can't be serious. Don't go off trying to have firefights with the damn military, you dumbass. It was your insistence on violence that created the situation in the first place. You're talking about putting out fire with gasoline. You're right. I need to be more creative. Look, I know a guy that can help us with this. He doesn't take kindly to strangers, but if he trusts you, and you trust him, he can make some extraordinary things happen. Wait, Roger interjected. Us? Yes. I don't want to get eaten by a giant pig monster, but even more so, I can't just sit by and watch while you go into this shitstorm alone. Besides, you won't be able to get help from this guy without me. Thanks, Cleo. I could try to act all macho and try to talk you out of this, but I know that wouldn't work. And plus, I can't say that I feel super confident going into this alone. Oh, eventually you will be in this alone. It has been foreseen. At the end of the struggle against the false presence is where all others fade. The last thing to get in your way to freedom will be yourself. I will go with you as far as I can, but I am not you. Cleo was known to receive some cryptic flashes of insight every once in a while. From what source, nobody yet knows. Well, that's fair enough, Roger replied. I'm walking this path to its very end, or until I die trying. You never had another option, dear. When do we leave to meet this guy? Rest your leg for a while longer. I'll run a herbal bath and prepare some healing methods that should have you in tip-top shape quickly. Cleo got up to take care of the bath, while Roger downed the rest of his drink. What in the fuck is going on here? And what's going to happen next? Tune in next time. Roger the Dodger Show.